Hey, Dan.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Let me just turn up this volume 1 second. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me? We good?
Great. So,
I'm gonna bump this down one. Hang on.
tuning in, I've got Dan Kazell of Mortgage 300 with us. And today our topic is going to be local lender versus big bank. Who should you go with when getting a mortgage? Because when you're buying a home, your options are you got lenders for a dime a dozen, just like realtors are, right? So today we're going to talk to you about why it's important to choose a local lender over a big bank or an online lender like Quicken or Rocket. And so first of all, let's introduce Dan. This is Dan Kazell. Dan is a mortgage advisor with Mortgage 300, which is based out of Denver, Colorado. And the cool thing about Dan is that he and I met on Instagram.
Yep.
Just doing right now. Dan reached out to me on Insta, and we got together for some coffee and built a relationship. And he's in the process of, closing a deal for Oscar right now.
Yep, absolutely. Dan's been wonderful to work with. He contacted my clients right away. I gave them several mortgage lenders to speak to, and they really connected with Dan. He sat down with them, went through the whole process with them one-on-one, which I think is really, really important. I realize the importance of it now, Dan, and I'm really grateful for that. And you were wonderful to work with, very communicative, both with myself and my clients. And
Wait 1 second. Didn't you get the clear to close in
we did
2 weeks or something like that? That's insane.
We did. 2 weeks prior to closing, 2 weeks into the deal, I got a call from Dan that we got the clear to close, and that was wonderful news. And I've never had that happen before. So kudos, Dan, and thank you so much for taking great care of my clients.
Oh, good.
Oh, it's Hawaii thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
He's calling me from Hawaii to, talk to me about my clients. I'm like, get off the phone and go have fun with your family.
Hey, you got to make sure people are taken care of, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
It was awesome.
So, let's just jump in. Is that cool?
Yeah, works for me.
Okay, so let me walk you through a scenario. When you, when you're somebody starts looking at homes on Zillow, they got in touch with an agent, and the agent tells them they need to get pre-approved before actually going on showings, and so that they don't waste the agent's time, because they didn't want the client to fall in love with a home that they can't afford, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now what? You don't want to put the cart before the horse, right? So the first thing to do in the home search is to get that pre-approval letter.
Right.
So the question is, who should somebody go with? The guys who have the commercials on television, aka the big guys, or the bank that you currently have a checking account with, or the local lender who came recommended by a friend or family member. So Dan, can you first of all just tell us the benefits of possibly going with a big name company? What are the benefits of that? And then contrast that with going with a local lender.
Sure. Well, I think, first of all, if I had to think about it, if I put myself in the shoes of somebody that's a buyer, probably the advantages of going with a big bank is the familiarity with them. You're very familiar with them. You might already have a checking or a savings account with them. So it might just be kind of first thought that I can just go to my bank and get my mortgage as well. So right. I think that's kind of the thought process that a lot of people go through. I think a lot of people also might want their loan to be serviced by the same person who is holding their checking and savings account, say for instance like a Wells Fargo or a Chase. But at the same time, I would also want to remind people that as local lenders here in Denver, we work with these same investors. So like the Chase, like the Wells Fargo. So if it's very important to you as a buyer to work with, have your bank be the one that services your loan, we can definitely arrange that. Just have to let us know up front. So it's not like if you don't go through Chase directly, you can't have Chase service your mortgage. It doesn't work that way at all. I think with the big banks, for me, honestly, the way I think about it is if you've ever moved to a new town and you're looking for somewhere to eat, you kind of gravitate towards the restaurants you've heard of before and that and then once you've been there for a while, you kind of get more confident and get more familiar with the local places, and then from there forward, you're working with the local restaurants and going to eat there a lot more than you would maybe the chains. So that's kind of the comparison that I use.
Makes sense, yeah. Then let's contrast that with working with a local lender. So what you did with office clients is you sat down with them, right? You had a face face-to-face consultation with them. Is that something that you would offer to all your clients, or and do they always go with that, or is just I know that's not something that they can do with a Quicken.
Right. No, absolutely. So for me, and Afghan, I had this conversation when we first getting started with these clients, was it's really important for me to sit down with the people that we're helping to walk them through the home buying process, because more often than not nowadays, the people that we're helping are first-time home buyers and they have no idea what to expect. They've never done it before. So just sitting down with them and walking through it for 30 or 45 minutes gives them a lot of confidence when they actually get out into the market to buy a house. And I always tell people, just the way that I look at it is, hey, we're looking at borrowing several $100,000 here. There goes the phone. So
Sorry about that.
My bad.
No sweat. So what I always tell people is we're looking at borrowing several $100,000 here. It makes sense for us to sit down for 30 to 45 minutes, introduce each other, and make sure that we're both on the same page and we're being as helpful as we can to each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm not positive how all lenders work. You know, I don't think that everybody necessarily sits down. Definitely, I don't think, you know, the online lenders don't, and I'm not sure about the big banks. I'm sure it's kind of give or take, but that for me is something that is definitely important. And for the most part, people are open to it. People want to know about this process and they want to understand in the one-on-one scenario. So, you know, it's very helpful. If we can't do it online, if we can't do an in-person meeting, we always offer the online one too, where we do it through like a Zoom or a conference call. But just to make sure that they have that confidence when they go out shopping, that all their other questions have already been answered. Nothing's going to pop up that surprises them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important with first-time home buyers, especially for you to kind of explain the process, but also, like you said, just to prevent problems like down the road, like know what the situation is from the beginning to problem solve from the beginning. So.
Right.
Yeah. So communication is key. And local lenders have a much better grasp on your file. It's likely that with a big company, I mean, in my experience from when working with Quicken, I had to talk to like 4 or 5 different reps or, you know,
people involved with their hand in the deal
the whole time. And it was just like, what the hell? Like, I just want one guy to communicate with. And you don't get that really with the other ones. They just pass the file around, pass the buck. So, let's talk about multiple offer situations, because the market's starting to really heat up and we might see that soon. At least in our mountain towns, it's not as hot as where you are.
Sure.
But
we're also having snow right now, so that could be a reason
we
for
got that
that.
yesterday.
But I feel like it's coming, and we might have a multiple offer situation arising. And in that case, tell us about how an offer with a local lender is going to appear stronger.
Mm-hmm.
More than likely, it'll look stronger.
Sure. Well, a couple things on that. So obviously, as we know, when we help people buy houses, not all the time, but most of the time, they're shopping on the weekends, right? So when they're shopping on the weekends, they're likely making offers on the weekends. So we need to be able to have access to, obviously we're going to be working with the realtors, but we also need to have access to our lenders to be able to get a hold of them, update any kind of pre-approval letters, you know, kind of run scenarios by them to make sure that everything looks good for the offer that you're preparing to make, and make sure you're cool with it as the buyer and you're comfortable with the payment's going to be and things like that. From my understanding and from what I've seen and complaints I've received from other people that I've helped, families that I've helped in the past, is that it's very hard to get a hold of sometimes the big banks, the people that work at big banks on the weekends, because they're you know, they're working hours. Right. They're
you need an pre-approval for that address for that price on that afternoon. You need to have someone call.
So
speaking of, because you don't want to have a pre-approval letter. Let's say that you want to submit an offer for $355, and you have a pre-approval letter that's for $365. You obviously don't want to hand that letter in with the offer, right? Because that's just showing your cards, right?
And that's giving the seller leverage essentially to come back and say, well, what if we did it for this amount? Because obviously you're approved up to 10 grand more than what the offer's for. So, you know, that's very important for me, is when we're writing those pre-approval letters, is we definitely want to make it catered to the house that we're writing the offer for. You know, we want to make sure the address is on there so that the seller sees that, you know, this is for my house specifically. It's not just a generic pre-approval letter they're running around everybody. And we want to make it for the offer amount that they're going to offer. And these are things we've already talked about, and that's why it's so important, especially when you're in those multiple offer situations. What I'll do on the weekends, if it's a weekend or weeknight, whenever it is, you guys know we're working whenever it's time to work. So I'll make the call to the listing agent. That's a big deal for me, is to call the listing agent and make sure that they understand, you know, everything's been reviewed and approved through underwriting. This is solid. This is ready to go. If you take this offer, we're going to be able to run with it. And just like this last one that Afghan and I had, we were, I think, clear to close in like 12 12 days or something after we got it under contract. So it's just a big deal, you know, when we're, especially in a multiple offer situation, to be able to call on behalf of your buyer and kind of advocate for them, and send the ball back over in the listing agent's court and say, hey, these guys are ready to go. There's not a better offer on the table than we're showing you. Now let's play ball here.
Yeah. That's an important point too. Sometimes a call from the lender to the seller's agent in a multiple offer situation can do wonders. And you're not going to get the big banks or someone on Quicken Loans to give a seller's agent a call on a Sunday afternoon and say, this is a great buyer, take this off.
Right.
That is such.
Well, and also going back to that with you guys have helped people sell homes before. So when you help somebody sell a home, we're talking about the multiple offer situation. Say you have 3 offers. One of them's from a local lender, one of them's from a big bank, and one of them's from Quicken, and they're all for the same exact thing. They're all offering you the same exact thing. I think just from the experience that I've heard that realtors have, it's that, you know, kind of your reputation precedes you. So if you're a big bank or if you're an online lender, people have had more bad experiences with those kind of people, that they're going to gravitate more towards the local lender if it's that situation. So going back to that multiple offer situation, I'm sure you guys have seen that before on your end too.
And we've all had less than great experiences with some of the big banks and Quicken Loans. So.
They'll just push back the dates. They don't give a crap about the seller need to.
Or the buyers.
Or the buyers need to be in at a certain time, or they don't give a shit, really. They just push it along and say, oh, deal with it. So, I mean, I've had that happen, and that's why I really, really have a sour taste in my mouth after having dealt with big lenders. So. And
that's why I think it's a big deal too, because from what I've seen, it's like, it kind of feels like when you go to a big bank or when you go to an online lender, it's their kind of approach is more that take a number, you know, get in line. That kind of approach. Whereas if you work with somebody local, it's, at least for me, I want to make it personal to you. You know, I want you to know this is a big deal for me to help you and your family get into your home. And it's not just take a number, get in line. It's not that approach where, oh, if this one doesn't work out, we'll get the next one kind of thing. It's we want to do everything we possibly can to make sure everybody that we help is taken care of.
Right. And I think it's important to note too, you're just as competitive in your rates, and
that's the next. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump ahead, but
that's
you're just as competitive as some of these online banks. So why not have personal?
Right.
You know. Time?
Right. Well, I mean, I think that if you think about what if you're an online lender, where do you have to sell from? All you have to sell from is the rates that you're advertising, that you're trying to get people to click on your information to come look at you. They don't have anything else to sell from. So while we're competitive as far as the rates go, it's not necessarily where I like to sell from personally, just because I don't like to sell from, let's just talk rate all day. I like to sell from the position that when I'm working with somebody, of course, I'm going to get you competitive interest rates, but I'm really more selling the certainty that we're going to get this done without any hiccups. And you're not going to have anything to worry about throughout this entire process. And you guys are going to be clear to close well ahead of time.
Yeah, that's worth more than saving like a, you know, a couple bucks here or a point there or whatever in the long run. You know, want the house bad, you should definitely go with the lender who's going to get the damn thing done.
Right. I agree.
So, does anybody have any questions so far? Let's see. Let's read some comments. Hi, Tyler Pale Marketing. Thanks. We're having a great day. Okay. Do you guys have shared houses in the USA? Sorry. Where people will live in rooms and yeah, we do. We do have shared housing, but we personally don't sell any of that right now. So, but it's possible to find that. Anyway, let's get back to the questions. So, do you have any other points to bring up?
No, I mean, I think you're covering it a lot. I mean, Dan has just been so wonderful to work with. I have nothing but, you know, wonderful things to say. So if you guys are out there thinking about buying a home, give Dan a call because he can get it done.
Thank you.
Yeah.
In a very professional manner.
He's very professional. He will keep you in the loop every step of the way. He explains things to the T, and he's just he's an all-around great guy. So, okay, so Dan, if somebody is watching this and they're just starting their love your guys' access. Thanks. If they're just starting their home search, their first-time home buyer, they have no idea what to do. What's the first step that they should take besides going on Zillow and looking at homes? What's the first step that they should take and in the home buying process?
Well, I think the first thing I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased as I'm on the lending side, but I think the first thing you want to do is make sure you understand what your financing options are and what you can afford. Because the last thing, like you guys don't want to take somebody out to look at houses that they're not going to be able to afford, because then everything underneath that.
One free pass. One free pass.
Right.
One free pass, that's it. One free showing, and then you got to sign a contract.
I got you. But, you know, you don't want to put yourself in that situation where they think they can afford this amount and then they can't, and then everything underneath that, they're like, this is crap. So you don't want to put yourself in that situation. So that's why we want to get them approved first and foremost. I mean, my biggest thing with people is it's all about setting expectations and having that first meeting with them and walking them through, here's what your options are. Here's how everything works. This is what it's going to look like from start to finish once you guys go out shopping and get under contract, just so they have that clarity. Because in my experience, a person that is confident and understands how this process works is going to have a lot better of an experience than somebody that's trying to throw like everything together and they do step 4 before they do step 1. You know what I mean? So just, you know, working with you guys, working with you guys too, to put them in contact with somebody who can walk them through this process and set them up for success. Essentially, that's what our job is just set people up for success and tell them what to expect.
Yep. Laying that groundwork.
Right.
So if somebody is shopping for a lender, how many should they talk to, in your opinion?
Well, so that's an interesting question, because I think it's going to be unique to everybody. I think it's going to be unique to anybody's situation. What I always come back to with people when I'm helping them, especially if they're thinking about shopping after talking to a couple different lenders, is I say just ask yourself 3 questions. Do you trust the person that you're talking to? Do you trust the person you're talking to and they're giving you good information? Do you like that person? Because you don't want to work with somebody you don't like. I mean, these processes from pre-approval to under contract, from pre-approval to closing can be months, and you don't want to work with somebody you don't like for months at a time. You know, that's no fun for anybody. And then is the information they're giving you reliable? Or can you source the information they're giving you is reliable? So what I would encourage you to do for people, if they're thinking about shopping you, is research that lender, that person, look up the reviews. If you're, you know, you should have reviews that people, past clients have shared about you that people can draw upon to say, well, this isn't the only person who said he did a good job. Like, think about it whenever you buy something. You go on Amazon, you're going to look at the reviews to see what everybody else who's experienced it thinks. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to those 3 things.
I'm all about the reviews, and that's what people do, is they Google you first, and then they reviews. And when you, I mean, that's why Yelp is so big. So. And I mean,
those are the main 3 things. And once, if you can answer those 3 things and you like everything, that all the answers that you're getting, I mean, then I don't really think you need to look much farther if you're in a situation that you're happy with. Now, if you're in a situation where those answers aren't met the way they need to be, then sure, you need to be talking to other people until you find the right answers and find the right match.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. So how can somebody submit an application with you, Dan? What's the easiest way to do that?
So for me, what I personally like to do, if I can, is get on the phone with somebody, just because I like to go through some questions that I have to get a good understanding of what their scenario is and just kind of just be more in depth with them. It's about a 10 or 15-minute conversation we just have on the phone together. If we can't get on the phone, I also have a mobile application they can do it. And I also have a website, the www.kazellhomes.com, where there's a lot of information and links to be able to submit it there too. So there's all kinds of options, but if we can, I'd like to get on the phone with you.
Yeah, you're a phone guy.
Yeah, I am.
Which is a rare find these days. So if you are a phone person, Dan's your man.
There you go.
So anyways, I think that's it for now.
Cool.
I think we've covered everything, unless anybody has any other questions that they want to throw at us, or nope. All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time today. A little bit more about why people should go with a local lender versus a big bank when getting a mortgage. And
Dan, thank you so much for taking such good care of my clients.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Can't wait to work with you again, and I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, for sure.
And guys, if you're watching this, make sure to give Dan a follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's Dan Kazell. And what was I going to say? Give him a follow. Follow him on Facebook. Shoot him a DM if you have any questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to help. And yeah, so all right, Dan. Well, you have a great day. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Thanks again, guys.
All right, talk to you soon.
See ya.